Welcome, welcome, welcome to the Monday stream. I hope everyone's having an awesome Monday. Welcome, everybody. Heat, how's it going? Carpet Packs, welcome. Quad Bennett, welcome. Michael Hassler, welcome. Senior House Democrat told Joe to go. Joe's gotta go. Biden stays in the race. Biden dooms the world to another Trump term. True. What if Harris wins the election? Kamala Harris has more of a chance at this point. Let me out. Thank you. I appreciate that, Heat. Welcome. Let's go, Joe. Out of here. Kamikazeon, welcome. Wolfglen, welcome. How was the weekend? That was pretty decent. Pretty decent. Hey, Bond, welcome. Harrison Bernie. Yeah, unfortunately, I don't see that happening. I don't see that happening. It might make too much sense. It would be better than what we're working with right now, that's for sure. Given the circumstances, that would be a upgrade. Hunter Baron 2028. Oh man. Nightmare fuel. Nightmare fuel. Folks, the usual disclaimers. If you enjoy the content, don't forget to hit the follow button. It really does help us out. If you're on the YouTube, hit the like button, subscribe. I appreciate all of you guys doing the social media stuff. Consider joining the Discord, folks. Check out the merch store. Do all the things. All right, folks, we gotta get started. Let me out.
Process of the Second American Revolution. We are in the process of the Second American Revolution, which will remain bloodless if the left allows it to be.
You just heard from Kevin Roberts, the president of the Heritage Foundation, which is the organization spearheading Project 2025, which is an effort to effectively turn America into a theocratic dictatorship. Now, Kevin Roberts is one of the individuals who wrote one of the most alarming chapters in Project 2025, which we'll get to in a moment. But the clip that you just saw was his reaction to the Supreme Court's ruling about presidential immunity. Obviously, a president being above the law is pretty ideal for an individual who literally drafted a plan to turn America into a dictatorship with Trump at the top. And now the Supreme Court just said that presidents have the power to get away with whatever they want. And that bodes really well for Project 2025. So we're going to talk more about Project 2025, but first I do want to play his full remark.
Also, side note, Biden won't use it for anyone but the donor class. Yep. There will be blood. Yes, please consider checking out Carpet Packs, twitch.tv/Carpet Packs. Yeah, Biden's not gonna do anything. Not in the least. He was very clear. We'll be in the donor class, the blood donor class. Yeah. Trump came out saying that he does not endorse or doesn't know about Project 2025, which I call BS on.
So that way you get the full context.
In spite of all this nonsense from the left, we are going to win. We're in the process of taking this country back. No one in the audience should be despairing. No one should be discouraged. We ought to be really encouraged by what happened yesterday.
Yeah, so when the leader of the Heritage Foundation is speaking like that, that's not good. That's not good. Not great. Back from what or who and back to what? Yeah, well, he's not gonna say those answers he's not gonna say those answers out loud.
And in spite of all of the injustice, which of course friends and audience of this show, of our friend Steve know, we are going to prevail. Number two, to the point of the clips and of course your preview of the fact that I am an early American historian and love the Constitution, that Supreme Court ruling yesterday on immunity is vital. And it's vital for a lot of reasons, but I would go to federal.
This is exactly the part that I think is important. We went over the story about how he was very thinly veiled, issuing threats. But this part is important. No, because the answer is back to slavery. Correct. Early American historian equals slavery enjoyment. Specifically, this dude. Yeah, this guy. Yeah, this dude's about that.
List number 70. If people in the audience are looking for something to read over Independence Day weekend, in addition to rereading the Declaration of Independence, read Hamilton's number 70, because there, along with some other essays, he talks about the importance of a vigorous executive. You know, former congressman, the importance of Congress doing its job.
The vigor of in other words, the consolidation of power to the executive. Yeah, that's not a red flag at all.
But we also know the importance of the executive being able to do his job. And can you imagine, Dave Bratt?
What exactly is preventing the president from doing his job exactly? Like, what part of the president's job would involve crimes? Yeah, Frederick Douglass and said, "Cognizant welcome vigorous executive equals POTUS on Viagra? No. These ideologues and referencing the theory of their idols.
Any president, put politics off to the side, any president having to second guess, triple guess every decision they're making in their official capacity, you couldn't have the republic that you just described. But number three, let me speak about the radical left. You and I have...
Wait a minute. What part of the president's jobs and duties constitute scheming, scheming to steal an election? What part of that falls under the official duty of the president? I don't understand. These people used to put the three branches on a pedestal, now not so much. Nah, it's not convenient anymore. The Constitution is also fair game to be tossed out if need be. So are rights. They don't care about any of that.
Have both been parts of faculties and faculty senates and understand that the left has taken over our institutions. The reason that they are apoplectic right now, the reason that so many anchors on MSNBC, for example, are losing their minds daily is because our side is winning. And so I come full circle in this response and just want to encourage you with some substance that we are in the process of the Second American Revolution, which will remain bloodless if the left allows it to be.
So that right there was an implicit threat of violence. He's saying, we're going to remake this country. This is the Second American Revolution, and it's going to remain bloodless only so long as the left chooses to comply and obey. If they choose to accept our subjugation of them, then things are going to remain perfectly peaceful. But if they reject us imposing our theocratic Christian nationalist values on all of them, well, then we're going to have a problem. Then this revolution that we're going to do is going to turn violent. That's what he's saying here, with his full chest. Now, let's talk about what he expects Americans to shut the fuck up and accept. So this is the foreword that he wrote for Project 2025, where he says there must be a nationwide ban on abortion. Additionally, all government protections for women, racial and ethnic minorities, and LGBTQ plus people will be deleted out of every government institution. Now, also, he wants to outlaw pornography and subsequently outlaw LGBTQ plus people after designating them as pornography. I'm going to read this verbatim because this paragraph is very telling. Quote,
yeah, it's pretty bad. Article 2 section, because I said so. Yep. The Nazis felt the same way. Yep.
Pornography manifested today in the omnipresent propagation of transgender ideology and sexualization of children, for instance, is not a political Gordian knot inextricably binding up disparate claims about free speech, property rights, sexual liberation, and child welfare. It has no claim to First Amendment protection. Its purveyors are child predators and misogynistic exploiters of women. Their product is as addictive as any illicit drug and as psychologically destructive as any crime. Pornography should be outlawed. The people who produce and distribute it should be imprisoned. Educators and public librarians who purvey it should be classed as registered sex offenders, and telecommunications and technology firms that...
What? Educators and public librarians who purvey pornography should be classed as Who is doing this? Like, what is going... Okay, so I think I understand. So basically, if a teacher is LGBTQ+, then by default, I guess they should be registered sex offenders.
Facilitate its spread should be shuttered. In other words, the implication here is that porn and queerness are synonymous. They're one and the same. So to promote one is to promote the other. So if an educator, for example, were to promote LGBTQ plus identities by saying, I'm a safe person to come out to, or if a movie theater, for example, were to play a movie that promotes some pro-queer message, well, they would be shut down, and the teacher in that instance, I guess, would be forced to register as a sex offender.
Gotcha. Not buying these fake games. Stop it. Project 2025 should be classified as conservative Christian pornography. You want to bet the writer of this is a sexual freak that hates themselves? Yeah, I would bet money.
There's a lot.
I would bet cold, hard cash. Okay?
This is a 900-plus page document. You know, of course, they want to do a lot of other things. They explicitly say they want to outlaw gender-affirming healthcare for all trans youth, which is medically necessary, so that would be catastrophic. They also want to reject international institutions like the UN and global treaties, so that way the U.S. would be unbound by the global elite. So they don't just want a dictator. They want Trump to kind of rule the world. And he also, Roberts, has some pretty choice words for environmental extremists, and he argues, quote, the next conservative president should go beyond merely defending America's energy interests, but go on offense, asserting them around the world. America's vast reserves of oil and natural gas are not an environmental problem. They are the lifeblood of economic growth. American dominance of the global energy market would be a good thing for the world, and more importantly, for we the people. So he's explicitly rejecting calls to transition to renewable energy to save the planet, And he's going in the opposite direction, saying the next president should actually double down on more fossil fuels and get other countries even more hooked on fossil fuels. So,
yeah, cool. Very nice. Very good. They want to roll back the clock to the 50s, the 1750s. Yeah, it seems like it. Folks, I apologize for the background. They're working on stuff.
To be clear, Project 2025 wouldn't just end American democracy. It is a collective suicide pact that would accelerate our own extinction. It is genuinely horrifying, but they're this close to getting it accomplished. Now, there's so many more
Don't worry, guys. Joe Biden's on the case, okay? Everything is okay as long as Joe Biden tries his best, okay? As long as Joe Biden tries his best, that's all we can do. I just figured it was my apartment. No, it's actually me. We're moving next week. Nice. Kedavani, welcome.
Policy pronouncements that they make. And if you want to read more, I'll link you to the full 900-page document where you can read all 30 chapters for yourself. But it's worth restating the fact that they want all of these policies to be implemented unilaterally. And the way that you do that is by first remaking the executive. And they have a very specific plan to outline how to do that.
Right. Like this is way more organized and way more well put together than anything we've seen in a while. And it's pretty bad. Everything is okay, nothing to see here. Move along. Everything is okay as long as Joe gets his naps. Unironically, Sleepy Joe. As long as Joe isn't sundowning. What's the video about, if I may ask? Oh, just the rise of fascism in the United States. Joe isn't going to stop sundowning, sorry. Yeah, that's true.
Consolidate power of the president, dismantle the administrative state entirely, that's their words, not mine, and fundamentally transform the way that government functions so that way a president doesn't have to have all of these checks. He could just do what he wants and accomplish most of the things that they want all by himself. And while they want to expand the power of the presidency, they simultaneously want to shrink the power of Congress so that way the president is less restrained. So there's no checks, he's above the law. He's a dictator, effectively. Like, this is quite literally a blueprint for dictatorships. This is how Erdogan in Turkey did it. This is how Orban in Hungary did it. This is how Putin in Russia did it. This is how you become a dictatorship. Right. You take all the power and you concentrate it into one branch and you give that branch all the power and they get to do what they want. And it's, that's it from there.
Right. And it doesn't matter. Like, it's not like Trump is going to be here forever, but if the groundwork if the groundwork is laid and there's no going back from one party controlling everything, it looks pretty freaking bleak. Joe will do the goodest job. Yeah, that's really what counts. Okay, Joe's gonna try his best.
But don't take it from me, because Common Dreams reported, quote, Kim Lane Sheppel, a professor of sociology and international affairs at Princeton University, has called Project 2025 a blueprint for autocracy, characterizing it as a direct copy of the plan that Viktor Orban used to take over the Hungarian government in 2010. If it is carried out, Project 2025 will concentrate huge power in the hands of the president, giving him the power to control the whole federal government at his whim, Sheppel added. Sheppel's assessment echoed that of the Global Project Against Hate and Extremism, which warned in an analysis published late last year that the entire project is devoted to aggrandizing executive power by centralizing authority in the presidency, and a key aspect of democratic backsliding is viewing opposition elements as attempting to destroy the real community, an essential aspect to quashing dissent. Project 2025 paints progressives and liberals as outside acceptable politics and not just ideological opponents, but inherently anti-American and replacing American values, the analysis said.
Yeah, that's pretty accurate. That's a pretty accurate description. It's already here. It's already showing from the Supreme Court picks. Yeah, no doubt about it. I don't disagree. Yeah, you guys are right. It is pretty scary.
Targeting vulnerable communities is a core tenet of Project 2025. Project 2025 is very clearly on a path to Christian nationalism as well as authoritarianism. So the stage is set, and we have never been closer to a literal dictatorship. And all conservatives have coalesced around Project 2025. It's not just the Heritage Foundation, right-wing legal groups and lobbying groups like ALEC, for example.
There's literally like 50 of them. There's literally 50 of the these conservative groups, from think tanks to lobbyists, you name it. At least all should have a plan B. Sucks to know it's coming and can't do much. Yeah, no kidding. Was it really bad? I just watched the summary. Well, yeah, me too. But from some of the clips, being posted, yeah, not good. Didn't give us any confidence whatsoever.
Along with anti-LGBTQ plus extremist groups and anti-abortion groups, have all come together to endorse this plan, Project 2025, to end our democracy. They put their names on it, and they're proudly supporting this on the Project 2025 website. And a lot of the authors from Project 2025 came from Trump's administration, and they're expected to go back to the White House with him if he wins. But aside from the Project 2025 architects, you have other people who aren't part of Project 2025 that are expected to return to the White House who are pretty clear about their dictatorial ambitions. For example, Mike Flynn, who was the national security advisor to Donald Trump, he explicitly endorsed a Trump dictatorship. Now, it's been a couple of years, but here's what he said when he was asked about a Myanmar-style military coup happening here in the United States.
I want to know why what happened in Myanmar can't happen here.
I remember this. What he mentioned about those countries also sadly happened in my native country of Georgia. Not that it was ever very democratic, though, but the same strategy. Yeah, I mean, it's, hey, if it works, you know, why change it? If it works, why change it? Anyone with a username related to Boo or P is getting banned. They're all trolls. Yeah. It has been quite a few recently. They don't send their best. MAGAinfo.tv. Love it.
No reason. I mean, it should happen here. No reason. But that's right.
Now, for those who don't know, the opposition in Myanmar cried fraud after losing the election in a landslide, and the military stepped in and jailed the winner, Miss Suu Kyi. So that Trump supporter is saying, why can't that happen here? And Mike Flynn is saying, you know, there's no reason why it can't. And that guy is going to be part of a second Trump administration, along with a lot of other people who are part of Project 2025. So,
Phenomenal.
Not to sound melodramatic, but we're in the end game now. And all of this hyper-partisanship and instability could culminate in a dictatorship if Trump wins. Literally. It's not a foregone conclusion. Even if Trump wins, you know, maybe he doesn't do everything that Project 2025 wants him to do. But
all right, let's check in with the opposition real quick. What are they doing to prevent any of this? Oh. Yeah.
But even if it does 25%,
maybe Pop can come back.
Of it, that's still going to transform the country. Trump has already committed to the core tenet of Project 2025, which is consolidating power in the executive. So it's already pretty bad. But if he goes further and starts implementing their dystopian Christian nationalist policies, you know.
Yeah, just it's so wild that like Trump is going around saying like, "Oh, I don't support Project 2025. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is." I totally disavow. He doesn't. Ironically, a lot of American right-wingers on Twitter were very happy about it. They mistakenly confused Georgia the country for Georgia the state and were praising the governor of the state of Georgia. Yeah, that honestly tracks. Also known insurrectionist Donald Trump is allowed to run, so yeah. But what was the nickname that we need to call him? It wasn't prime suspect number 1. It was a co-conspirator co-conspirator number 1, right? What was it? I'm pretty sure it was co-conspirator or something to that effect. Pop doesn't care. Pop is currently napping at this time because it's after 4 p.m.
Laterally, then it's going to go downhill really quickly. So there's a lot of talk lately about bedwetters right now, which is a term that the Biden administration used to refer to people who are worried about his chances against Trump in November after that catastrophic debate performance last Thursday. Well, guess what? The Heritage Foundation, again, the leading organization behind Project 2025, they said that they're currently monitoring calls for Biden to step aside, and Fox News is reporting that they're going to do everything in their power to keep Biden on the ballot in key swing states in November, and if he steps down...
So, I mean, like, unindicted co-conspirator number 1, there it is. Yeah, I think that was it. Opossum Shaman, Roger Stone. No, Donald Trump. Welcome. It's like this party can only get people on their side when they're manipulating them. The term pop-up means something else in Arrested Development. Haven't seen it. Yeah, when the Heritage Foundation is trying to prop up the Dem candidate, trying to keep them, that's not good news. That is yet another indicator out of the many that Biden just needs to go before it's too late, if it isn't already, to be honest.
Down and is replaced, they're willing to challenge his removal from the ballot because they want to lock him in. They want to keep him on the ballot. Why? It's pretty obvious. They know that Trump has the best chance of winning against Biden in November. And if Biden withdraws and is replaced by someone with a better chance of beating Trump, they all know that their plan is in jeopardy, because if Trump loses, it might be a while before another Trumpian-like figure comes along that's so willing to execute their dictatorial plan. This might be a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for a lot of them. So they're going to do everything they can to seize on this moment. And they smell blood in the water. And they want to make sure that Biden is the guy going against Trump in November. So do with that information what you will.
Yeah. Yeah. No doubt about it. No doubt about it.
You notice this, but on every interview that we've played, whether it was like Raskin or Doggett or Nancy Pelosi, they've been asked, have you spoken to the president since the debate? And the answer has been no.
Yes, J.B. Pritzker said the same thing last night on CNN, and Caitlin Collins pressed him for maybe 10 minutes straight about trying to get him to say Biden should drop out. But basically, he was, because there was also a call with the Democratic governors, and they have not heard from Biden either, or He said, I've spoken to the campaign, but not Biden himself. And as we speak, I think I saw someone reported the White House schedule, 12:30 lunch between Kamala Harris and Joe Biden. There were reports that he hadn't even really spoken to her either.
There's also a new job posting for Kamala Harris social media to amplify her voice in the coming months. So
Can I do that on the side, Sam?
yeah, Emma's been auditioning all morning.
Just repeated posts of mama la, mama la, mama la.
Coconut emoji.
Mama la,
But
mama
it's
la.
interesting because the other part of that reporting is that he's not been talking to congressional leaders, which is odd at this time. Particularly, it's not like people didn't know on Friday after the debate that people were freaking out. So the normal course of events would be for the president to get on the phone with some key people and say, "Hey, look, I had a bad night. I get it. I took some, I accidentally reached for the Ambien when I was trying to reach for, the Zyrtec or whatever it is. And that's what happened." But instead, it seems like they have distanced themselves from congressional leaders, other electeds, and have only been in basically getting advice from Jill Biden, Hunter Biden, apparently his granddaughters. And like this is like insular type of stuff.
It's like Trump.
It's a little bit Trumpy, and it's not what you would expect for them to mount an effort. I mean, the obvious thing is you get your candidate out there and get them out there, and the obvious reason as to why that hasn't happened, because it's not like it would be weird for a presidential candidate to be all over the place in the midst of a presidential campaign. The obvious answer is that they just don't feel confident in sending Biden out there. And then, Emma, this is from the New York Times.
So Biden told ally he is weighing whether to continue in the race, the Times reported. Now, as we mentioned earlier, the White House was upset about this report, said that the Times did not give them enough time to comment, and refuted it. However, this does not seem far-fetched. You want to scroll down a little here, Bradley? President Biden has told a key ally that he knows he may not be able to salvage his candidacy if he cannot.
That's a family affair. Democrats are so screwed. Indeed.
Not convince the public in the coming days that he is up for the job after a disastrous debate performance last week. The president, who the ally emphasized is still deeply in the fight for re-election, understands that his few appearances heading into the holiday weekend, including an interview scheduled for Friday with George Stephanopoulos of ABC News, and campaign stops in Pennsylvania and Wisconsin must go well. He knows if he has two more events like that, we're in a different place by the end of the weekend, said the ally, referring to Mr. Biden's halting and unfocused performance in the debate. The person spoke on the condition of anonymity to discuss a sensitive situation. Andrew Bates, a White House spokesman, said the claim was, quote, absolutely false, and that the White House had not been given enough time to respond, as I alluded to there.
I like how it's if he has two more events like that,
Then he'll know. Like, what is it? It just hasn't set in yet.
But here's the thing. The debate performance is not what needs to be recovered from at this point. It is the compounding effects of every freak out and everyone having eyeballs.
Yeah, so that's exactly correct. That's exactly correct. Biden insisting on staying in this despite like the overwhelming evidence showing that he shouldn't. It is literally going to cost us everything. And if he loses, I don't want to hear it from these smug liberal pieces of garbage that it's our fault, the media's fault, Trump's fault, whatever. It does not matter. It's going to be his fault. I don't want to hear it. The polls are not getting any better. They just aren't. There's 4 more months to the election, and there's literally nothing save an act of God that would change this, because there simply isn't enough time. There just simply isn't enough time. It is inconceivable the level of irresponsibility that the Democratic Party is displaying. They're literally gambling at the highest stakes table with hopes that Trump will win this for them by being so terrible. And this is what lost them 2016. Father Time said, nah. This right here is what's going to cost us everything.
The most
100%.
apolitical people I know are focused on this right now. And I've heard things from like, this is why I don't care about politics, to this is why the Democrats are no different than the Republicans, because they were lying this whole time about him. It presents a massive problem in that way. And that's why I said a few days ago that it's a huge benefit to the Democrats to be the party that listens to discontent and makes a change, because these are even,
Right, like, you're expecting people to vote for you, right? So what are you going to do to listen to the people that are presumably going to vote for you, right? Like, that's how this works. You do things that your voters like, and they will vote for you. That's kind of how this works.
too deeply unpopular candidates, it makes Hillary Clinton versus Trump look like prime Obama versus Reagan in that sense. We're at this point where everybody is deeply discontent about the candidates. So it's an advantage for Democrats to change course in that regard. But that's the problem for Biden. It's not the debate performance. It's not about recovering. It's about the fact that there has now been a nearly week-long news cycle in which the entirety of the media is saying the same thing that the campaign keeps trying to get people to ignore and gaslight about, which is that Biden has suffered serious decline. I saw a side-by-side. It's not worth it to play because it was like a Russell Brand video or something. And I know that these are like Republican operative efforts. But the side-by-side of Biden in the primary debates versus the one versus Trump, it's night and day, and that was only 4 years ago.
And the line that they need to get to was in there, which is that Biden still thinks he can do it, but he recognizes that he's lost the confidence of the American people, and that's actually rather important in a campaign, and so he's going to step aside for that reason.
Right.
And I mean, I think that's setting up, defeat with dignity.
Yeah. Let me be clear. It's Jover. Firefly, welcome. The Dems are having a continuous case of, why are you disbelieving our BS?
I guess, or whatever it is. Retreat with dignity. I mean, I think that it also just feels like what they're attempting to do to push back is insufficient. And it almost feels like, because it's not going to be enough for him to give a speech at a campaign rally. It's not going to be enough for a pre-recorded, edited interview. That
he failed, by the way, that he botched. Thank you. No problem. Welcome. I appreciate you stopping by.
To do it, those are moments that could hurt him, theoretically, but they're not moments that could help him enough. I mean, he really needs to be able to show that he can speak extemporaneously. And they don't seem to be putting him into that type of situation.
And also, I mean, he needs to be able to change a narrative.
Because they can't. They can't. The bro is cooked.
Narrative that is now united in, he needs to be replaced. Or when there are open conversations about the replacement of the incumbent president, that's a bigger blow to the strength that he's trying to portray as an incumbent than the performance even in and of itself. The fact that
it reminds me of the old Ann Landers or Dear Abby column where somebody wrote in, Dear Abby, how can I tell if my relationship is in trouble? And And she said, when you're asking that question.
Exactly. Right. When you're writing in to me. So, like, imagine just for a second a strategy of chiding people into not believing their lying eyes for the next 4 months.
Yeah,
Amazing.
I mean, I think it seems to be untenable. And the real question is like, how permeable is that inner circle that Biden has done? I think as more and more people come out, I mean, it feels like it's pretty permeable at one point. And I would be surprised if this happened any quicker than it's happening at this point. I mean, this has been pretty dramatic, and I suspect they're waiting for another poll to come out. According to reporting, there's going to be, or there has been, an all-staff meeting at the White House today to calm everybody. There was a memo sent out. That all-staff meeting, I've been in these pizza parties. Always beware when the boss brings pizza to a party. It's not a good sign. But when there's pizza, everybody's in the room. That is a problem. But they are apparently, according to this Politico piece, nervous about a forthcoming New York Times poll that's going to show more significant deterioration. There's been a bunch of polls. Some have not been.
Yeah, I mean, I think the trend is pretty clear. Pizza parties. Mofo starting Congress in 1973. That was roughly. Not to date myself too much, but that was roughly 30. Close to 30 years before I was born, more or less, all right, without giving too much. And first ran for president in 1988. Again, at that point, I wasn't born yet. So, yeah, just please stop. Go home. Go away, Joe.
As bad as others, none of them have been sort of devastating. But remember, this is a very tight race, and he was already down. So dropping more from that point is exactly the opposite of what you want, particularly after the first debate. We have been talking about this debate for a couple of months since it's been set, essentially. And the theory was get Donald Trump out in the public, see, and this is going to begin his deterioration of support. And the exact opposite has happened. And
I don't know how the polls are not devastating, though, that we read yesterday, the leaked ones that were internal in the Democratic Party to...
Yeah, and there are other polls coming out that seem to indicate that not good. It's not great. It's not good, especially within the swing states that presumably a candidate would need to win the Electoral College. Joe Biden is staying in this is going to cost us everything.
You gotta wonder who is leaking Democratic polls in this instance, and
the CNN ones weren't leaked, and that showed Biden being down by 10 points against Trump with independents, and Harris leading Trump by 3 points with independents. Yeah, that was the CNN post-debate polling,
without a doubt. The next question is who will replace Biden, and I really think this is. I mean, listen. I don't know who would be my favorite candidate to replace Biden in a fantasy world, but I haven't had the time to engage in fantasy. The only person who really can do this, in terms of because we're 4 months out. I mean, we are 4 months out from an election, right? I mean, this is we're in July. The election's in November.
Parliamentary systems do it. They, they have shorter elections. It's Jacinda Ardern,
but they don't have the kind of money.
A different system. Not Peach, my lord. I'm not sure. I think Trump is more hated than he is popular. Yes. Pete, no. Bernie, I wish. Everyday genocide Joe waits to step aside makes it that much harder for his replacement to drum up enough support to win. 100%. I don't disagree. Joe Biden should have dropped out a long time ago, but yeah. Pete Buttigieg is the only other person with a platform. Nobody else has the popularity and energy like Bernie did. Yep. Bernie isn't an option. No, well, I mean, on paper, theoretically, he could, right? Like if he decided to. But I don't know. I don't see it.
That we're talking about. And so you've got $92 million in the bank in the Biden campaign. There is only one person who is eligible to get that money on day one, and that is
Kamala Harris.
Kamala Harris. There is nobody else who is eligible under federal election laws to get that money. The money can go through different various super PACs and whatnot to support another candidate, but that super PACs, they do not get the discounted TV rates. There is only one candidate, potential candidate right now, who has an apparatus that pre-exists today, and that is Kamala Harris. She was part of that ticket. There's only one person who's really been on the ballot to some extent in all these primaries. That's Kamala Harris. If you wait until August to do some type of open convention, aside from all of the other sort of ridiculousness around it, you are giving that candidate only 3 months
Yeah.
to
And let me
campaign. Hey, folks, don't forget to hit the subscribe button.
Theoretically, I'm an option, but if we're being even marginally realistic, the only alternative to Joe is Pete. Kamala is pretty awful. Is a pretty awful politician. Yeah, but because of what Sam was explaining, it makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense. I think the real follow-up would be like, who can she select as a vice president? I think would be pretty important. Someone likable? Nina Turner. Yeah, I know Kamala isn't likable. Bernie as her vice, maybe? Vice president? Maybe. Although that seems a bit of a stretch, but I would like that. I at least I wouldn't mind it as much. Nina Turner as vice president would be nice. Although the Democratic Party did her dirty. Bernie's popular with one demographic. He is pretty much a political hermit. No, I don't think so. I don't think so. But in any case, I don't think that they're gonna put Bernie as vice president or ask him to be on the ticket. I just don't see it. Bernie doesn't want to put himself out there anymore. Why should he? They wouldn't even put him in a cabinet position. That's right. I mean, I wouldn't. He's an independent politician, more of a liability than an asset. I don't know. Because he gets paid buckets of money, too. Well, Bernie is still out there telling people Israel has a right to defend itself. True. I suppose getting somebody good as a vice president would be the golden ticket there. I just think if those bastards are going to bring their best to defeat everything we stand for, then we should bring our best. Well, Joe Biden is going to screw up the convention. He's going to he's beginning to dodder when he walks. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it, Abond. Joe Biden is doing his goodest, okay? Joe Biden is gonna do his goodest. Why the F hasn't Patriot Front not been declared a terrorist organization? Well, they are a domestic terrorist organization. The Clown Brigade showed up in Tennessee. About 150 to 250 of these people were marching in downtown Nashville. Falling off that bike really hurt Biden. He's been accelerating downhill since. Jeez. Yeah. So they're like basically Sieg Heiling. Over half of them are feds or off-duty cops. I was on Twitter earlier and everyone that said Biden should step down was trending. Yep. And he's not listening. He's insisting on staying in the race.
Because without the race of men that built America, without the ironclad resolve of our ancestors, there would be no America. We are heirs to an expansive and continental homeland purchased with immeasurable sacrifice. The most natural of human truths, the pride of one's home, the instinct of who he is. Nationalism is natural. Patriotism is inevitable.
Yeah, no. Footage from one of the witness shows over 100 people in the Patriot Front group marching in downtown, chanting "Reclaim America" and other slogans before marching back and getting into the U-Haul. That they rented out. I want to know, like, how are they getting these U-Hauls? I was on Twitter earlier, and everyone said Biden should step down was trending. Mass appeal for him to step aside. Haters gonna hate. Would you give up your second term because you were wildly unpopular? It's not just being wildly unpopular. It's just like they just mean it's just untenable at this point. his candidacy is untenable. Like, it's just ego. Just nothing better to do than go outside and display your hate. Kind of happy about my life right now. Too bad somebody didn't bounce a glass bottle over his head, off his head. And they say patriotism, they mean white supremacist feudalism. That's what these people mean, yes. If I wanted to portray myself as someone who cared about the good of the nation over themselves, then yes. Yeah, it's literally just like a Nazi parades. If he's not capable any longer, yep. It's not very politically minded of you. It's not, yeah, well, you know. Unfortunately, Andy No looks good in elevator shoes. Unfortunately, asking to do the right thing is a bridge too far. Like, actually, you know what? I disagree. Like, I disagree with that. It would be the most politically minded thing to do if you know you have an untenable candidacy, you know, that is crashing out right in front of you. That's probably the most politically minded move you could do. Is to step down and prop up the person that's going to take your place using whatever little political capital you have left. That's what you would do if you knew what was going on. Oh, they're cops, all right. But they're not there to disrupt the movement of the domestic terrorist organization. They are the domestic terrorist organization. Yeah, they are definitely feds. They're definitely cops in there. But they're not there to do an investigation on a hate group. They're there because they're part of said hate group. Mm-hmm. Correct. That's what I was thinking. That's what I was thinking. To like understand that your campaign is imploding. As politics deals with policy and population, true. Or they're supposed to, yeah. Very true. Biden tells Hill Democrats that he is staying in the race, folks. President Biden told congressional Dems in a letter on Monday today that he will continue his re-election bid despite the very obvious crashing and burning that's happening right in front of us, despite mounting concerns about his mental fitness and the viability of his campaign, while also hitting back at party elites in an interview ahead of a critical week on Capitol Hill. It's become a contest between cults of personality a long time ago. Yeah, I don't disagree. Code, I want you to know that despite all the speculation in the press and elsewhere, I'm firmly committed to losing this race, to running this race to the end and losing to Trump, said Biden in a letter. Oh, he wrote a letter obtained by CNN. Biden sought to put growing concerns about his viability to rest in the forcefully worded letter. Quote, the question of how to move forward has been well aired for over a week now, and it's time for it to end. We have one job, and that is to lose to Donald Trump. We have 40 days to the Democratic Convention and 119 days to the general election. Any weakening of resolve or lack of clarity about the task ahead only helps Trump and hurt us. Yeah, I agree. Any weakening of resolve, any lack of conviction or clarity, I should say, that you are displaying does actually help Trump. You're right. Your weakening of resolve to step down and do the right thing, and lack of clarity about the task ahead does indeed only help Trump. It is time to come together and move forward as a unified party and defeat Donald Trump. You have to be the one to do this, though. Convince you're the one that's responsible. You're the one that's responsible for making that happen, and people aren't having it. So if you can't do it, then you should step down. It's a critical week for Biden's political future as he seeks to tamp down the intensifying fallout with the House and Senate back in session for the first time since the debate. More than a handful of top House Democrats told Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries on Sunday that Biden does need to step aside amid concerns about down-ballot Democratic races. Yeah, like not only is his ego going to deliver Donald Trump another term to the White House, but it's also going to make sure that he has the House and Senate when he gets there. So that's cool. Shortly after the letter was released, Biden called, can you imagine this scenario where the Republicans take the House, expand their lead in the House, and they take the Senate, and they do away with the filibuster and just start passing laws for Trump to sign? Because we all know how important decorum is to the Republican Party. You don't think that if they got the majority in the Senate and the House, that they're not going to do away with those rules? To start passing legislation for Trump? That is a possibility. Shortly after the letter was released, Biden called in to MSNBC's Morning Joe as part of a strategy to do more off-the-cuff, unscripted engagements to quell concern about his age. But the appearance, while energetic, may not have had its intended impact. Biden offered a lengthy, occasionally off-topic response to a question about his letter to Hill Democrats calling for unity and lambasted Trump for being on the golf course after the debate. Trump has largely stayed under the radar while Biden battles the news cycle. Well, look, Democrats, Joe, let me say this. Let me say it this way. The reason I've been on the road so much all over the country while Trump is riding around in a golf cart, filling out his golf cart before he even hits the ball. But anyway, what? I'm having trouble keeping up with this. But anyway, he hasn't been around in 10 days, and I've been all over the country, number one. He continued, and I've gone over the country for several reasons. One, to make sure my instinct was right about the party still wanting me to be the nominee. Well, it's clear that your instinct is not there because people are telling you need to step down. And I've gone all over the country for several reasons. One, to make sure my instinct was right about the party still wanting me to be the nominee. And all the data showing that the average Democrat there who voted 14 million of them who voted for me still want me to be the nominee number one. Yeah, I'm having difficulty keeping up with this. But no, they don't. That's right. In a pointed rebuke to his critics, Biden said, "I'm getting so frustrated by the elites. Now, I'm not talking about you guys, but the elites in the party. They know so much more. But if any of these guys don't think I should run against me, go ahead, announce for president, challenge me at the convention." Bro, that's not how this works. You have to step down, dude. And if you're acknowledging that they don't want you to run, then you shouldn't. The president continued his outreach to Democratic lawmakers this week. Campaign officials tell CNN Tuesday will be a consequential day as members held a planned caucus meeting with Jeffries, and one member told CNN that they anticipate that is the day when the dam will break. So far, no additional Democrats have publicly called for Biden to step down. Two sources told CNN that Tuesday's meeting, the first time Democrats are gathering as a caucus since June 27th debate, will be limited to members only, and phones are not expected to be permitted inside. In the week following the disastrous debate performance, Biden personally reached out to the roughly 20 House Democrats, a campaign official tells CNN, and has spoken with party leaders, including Jeffries, Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, Representative Nancy Pelosi, and James Clyburn, with the goal of reassuring them that the concerns within the party are being heard. Since then, Schumer and Clyburn have voiced support for Biden, while Jeffries has remained mum. "I'm for Joe," Schumer told reporters when he arrived at the Capitol Monday, and asked if he supports the president continuing to his race for re-election. He would not answer if he has any questions about Biden's mental and physical ability to lead the nation for 4 more years. Pelosi has said the questions surrounding Biden's disastrous performance were legitimate. Asked about Pelosi's comment, Biden told ABC News, "It was a bad episode, no indication of any serious condition. I was exhausted." Yeah, man. Whatever helps you sleep at night, dude. We can all see. On a call with senior House Democrats convened Sunday by Jeffries, a half dozen... it's not that, he sounded tired, okay? That's not the problem. There have been times where I sound tired, okay? That's not the issue. Those lawmakers, which CNN has reported to include Representative Jerry Nadler, Adam Smith, Mark Tucano, Joe Morrell, represent the highest-ranking Democrats on the Judiciary, Armed Services, Veteran Affairs, and the House Administration Committees. A campaign official declined to say whether the president has spoken directly with Senator Mark Warner, the Virginia Democrat who organized a concurrent effort among like-minded senators to explore the possibility of an official request for Biden to step aside. Warner canceled a follow-up meeting scheduled for Monday evening, a source told CNN, after the news of the group's efforts leaked. The next meeting will be Tuesday with Senate Democrats and their leadership. Biden told ABC News that Warner was a good man but has different perspective. Biden's campaign on Monday today highlighted a list of supportive statements from the Hill Democrats seeking to amplify the voices of those who have expressed confidence in the president's candidacy in recent days. Also on Monday, the Biden campaign hosted a donor call with its National Finance Committee, another sign of outreach. A top concern of the campaign is whether donors will continue to back Biden or redirect their money to House and Senate campaign efforts if he stays in the race. Probably a better use of resources, in my opinion. Biden said he's not exiting the race, and he believes that he is still the best candidate to beat Trump, even though literally every single data point says no. Quote, "My one job is to lose to Trump," said Biden, according to one of the participants on the call, who said Biden thanked donors and renewed his pledge to keep the fight alive. A second participant said the president's determination to continue running, he ain't budging an inch. So that's cool. Campaign Chair Jen O'Malley Dillon led the call, which had more than 300 participants, and Maryland Governor Wes Moore offered a fiery defense of the president. The participants told CNN Moore was among the governors who met with Biden at the White House last week, telling reporters after the meeting that he supports the president but acknowledged the concerns from voters. During the question and answer portion of the call, Biden fielded a question from a donor about what he needs to do in the second debate, currently scheduled for September 10th, to perform better than the first, where 51 million Americans watched his meandering and low-energy performance. Yeah, what's going to happen in the next 2 months, okay? There's 2 months till the next debate. What's going to happen if there's another disastrous performance, what exactly are you going to do? You can't do anything at that point. It's done. Yeah, hemorrhage support, exactly. We write in Joe Biden? No. Trump, write in Aaron Bushnell. Trump will not debate again. No, I think he would. I think he will. I think he will. Biden, dressed in a suit and flanked by an American flag and family photographs, outlined the strategy simply. Two participants said attack, attack, attack. DNC Finance Chair Chris Korg, writing Kanye West, who was among the final speakers on the call, was begging us to stay in line, one of the participants said. Biden struck a defiant note on call with donors, emphasizing the party needs to shift the narrative back to Trump and the important issues at stake in November. There was a fair amount of discussion, according to the one donor on the call, on Project 2025. Biden made clear how damaging Trump's agenda would be across the board, including for the economy, women, the LGBTQ community, one donor said. Nothing good can happen for him. Give Biden a chance to recover. Yeah, but I don't know. I don't know. If I'm Trump, let's say it happens, right? And Biden does well. How much will that energy transfer 2 months from now? At that point, you might as well roll the dice, right? Recover from what? Age? Time isn't going back. That's right. We go down with the ship and cry. I'm gonna need a bigger lifeboat. We're gonna need several. Biden made clear how damaging, that Trump's agenda would be across the board, including for the economy, women, and the LGBTQ community, one donor said. Biden also smiled on screen when one donor said she would crawl through glass for him. Jesus. Joe may need more Adderall, whatever keeps him functioning. Yeah, I think it's more than that. Who are we kidding? We're playing music as the ship goes down. Yep. Another participant on the call, who had been critical of Biden and his campaign over the past week, praised the president's word on Monday and said the campaign seemed to finally grasp the seriousness of the moment. The ultimate test, this donor said, would be whether the congressional leaders urge Biden to reconsider this week, or whether the battleground map showed any signs of expanding, or if the president's support eroded in campaign polling this week following the long 4th of July weekend. It's still a huge hole to climb out of, the Democratic donor said, speaking on condition of anonymity to avoid alienating the campaign. It was already a steep hill to climb to victory. Translation, we were already effed to begin with. I'd crawl through sharing class for Biden, maybe. What if he dies while in office? I don't know. Do the Dems have a plan for that? I don't know. Neither of them will make it through the term. Trump just does not show up at the last minute. We'll say he did not beat someone that has Parkinson or Alzheimer's. Well, yeah, the VP would become the president if he's in office, right? I don't want that, but it could happen at this point. Yeah, it definitely could. Now and in 2025. What song is usually played when the ship is sinking? I don't know. That gets likelier by the day. Kamala would be president. Yep. According to a night to remember, it's near my God to thee. A black and white Titanic movie. I haven't seen it. I always keep my bucket list handy. New parents in Baltimore could get a $1,000 baby bonus under a proposal to fight child poverty. This is good. Too early to talk about 2028? Yeah, kind of is, because let's just make it through this election first. Let's just make it through this election first. Welcome, Redmond Berry, by the way. New parents in Baltimore could receive a $1,000 baby bonus if voters approve that proposal, aiming to help reduce child poverty from birth with a modest one-time cash payment. A group of Baltimore teachers is behind the effort. Organizers recently secured the necessary 10,000 signatures to bring the question to voters as a ballot initiative in November. Pay attention, folks. This is worth voting for. Their campaign relied on extensive canvassing efforts, and a cute a logo, a flying cartoon stork with a bag of money in its beak. We need the Dems or Dem Sox to take a few laps to be in shape for 2028. If Trump wins, there may not be any 2020 elections. Yeah, so like maybe let's just get through this one first. The proposal is loosely modeled on a program implemented this year in Flint, Michigan, where women receive $1,500 during mid-pregnancy and $500 a month for the first year after giving birth. Officials say the Flint program was the first of its kind in the U.S. Countries in Europe and Asia have experimented with large cash payments. Those programs are meant to encourage more people to have more kids, not address child poverty. Italy, which has one of the world's lowest birth rates, provides baby bonus checks and other benefits aimed at increasing the population. Organizers behind the Baltimore campaign say more systemic change is needed on a national level to lift families out of poverty, but given new parents a modest financial boost could improve an important first step. Quote, if we're going to spend a limited amount of money, where do you get the most bang for your buck? Research says at birth, said Nate Golden, a high school math teacher who helped found the Maryland Child Alliance, which is pushing for this ballot initiative. This could literally have a lifelong impact on a kid. Golden said he also hopes the program will demonstrate to elected leaders in Baltimore and beyond that there's a real appetite among voters for implementing policies that help vulnerable children succeed. The issue is particularly urgent in Baltimore. There's an estimated 31% of school-age children that are experiencing poverty, according to the census data. Nationally, childhood poverty fell during the pandemic thanks to federal relief programs, but it has since climbed again to about 12% in 2022. The president can't cancel elections because Congress schedules them. Yeah, well, what the president can and cannot do is kind of flexible now. I would vote for Newsom. The news is saying a Parkinson expert visited the White House. I've seen, I've seen reports of that. Is that true? Is that breaking? Because I've seen a couple of reports on that on Twitter. Trump wanted to delay the 2020 elections and Congress said 9. Yeah. It is true. Well, that can't be good. Let's check in with the Democrats and see how they're dealing with this.
You support Joe Biden staying as your Democratic nominee?
Yes, I made clear the day after the debate publicly that I support President Joe Biden and the Democratic ticket. My position has not changed.
Wow, thank
Biden
you.
Staying as your Democratic nominee?
Yes, I made clear.
Man, we're doing fantastic, folks. Electing an openly gay president would be a strong move. Not opposed to that. Well, thanks to SCOTUS, the president could say that Congress is a clear and present danger, or i.e. terrorists or something, and have them eliminated, right? And then dispute whether or not that could be a official action. It's incredibly hard for the poor to move up the economic ladder, especially among communities of color. Research shows that most American children born into the lowest income bracket will remain at roughly the same socioeconomic status for the rest of their lives. True. Should Biden run as a woman? Biden shouldn't be running at all. I'm surprised about how much Biden declined, just watching him in interviews and, of course, the debate. Yeah, like Emma was saying, night and day just a few years ago. Golden said he says similar scenarios playing out in the classroom every school year, with students who are experiencing homelessness, food insecurity, gun violence, and countless other challenges. When you see what they're going through outside school, I'm still going to demand their best in the classroom, but it's just not enough. We have to take care of the underlying needs before we can get the kids focused on learning. If the ballot initiative is approved, all new parents in Baltimore will receive a one-time payment of at least $1,000. An estimated 7,000 children are born in Baltimore each year, so the program could cost about $7 million annually, which is roughly about 0.16% of the city's annual operating budget, according to supporters. And the initiative won't result in higher taxes, but it will be up to Baltimore's city council to allocate the funds if passing. Just saying, if Joe Biden is way more coherent, changing Joe to Jill, but you're not saying Joe Biden should run as a woman, you're saying Jill should run. Advocates say, no, I don't think she should run, to be honest. What does that mean? Yeah, that's a good question. What does that mean, Redmond? Advocates say taking a blanket approach to distributing the funds ensures that no one falls through the cracks. It also means some of the money goes to affluent parents who don't need the assistance, but Golden said it's worth including them to avoid leaving out the poorest families. Considering the payments are relatively small, the universal approach makes sense because researching and developing a qualification system could add significant costs and delay implementing the program. Yeah, almost like means testing is garbage, said Christina De Pascal, Associate Professor of Economics at the Johns Hopkins Carey Business School. Above all, De Pascal said, the initiative will raise awareness about childhood poverty and could lead to more comprehensive changes down the road. It's worthwhile in the sense that it gets people to think about it. It's something to build off of. Even if you don't have something perfect, the less perfect version of it is better than not having it at all. While no one contends that $1,000 is a life-changing amount of money, it could help cover some of the many costs that come with having a baby, including paying for diapers, formula, strollers, cribs, and more. As for new parents living on society's margins, that could make a real difference, said Nadia Dutchin, the executive director of Baltimore-based organization Share Baby, which distributes free diapers and other baby essentials. Quote, I don't think people pay enough attention to the material insecurities that contribute to parental stress. If you don't have enough money to purchase diapers to keep your child dry, safe, and healthy, you're going to be stressed and your baby's going to be stressed. She said requests for supplies increased a huge amount last year amid rising inflation and stagnant wages. The largest federal program aimed at addressing school poverty is the Child Tax Credit, which was temporarily expanded during the pandemic. Although shown to be effective, advocates say it leaves out some families because of necessary paperwork and qualification requirements. Mom here, so true. Maryland Governor Wes Moore campaigned on a promise to help state's youngest and most vulnerable residents. He led one of the nation's largest poverty-fighting organizations before he took office as Maryland's first black governor. Moore signed legislation this year that will provide grant funding for community organizations in areas with high concentrations of child poverty. Baltimore also launched a 2-year pilot program in 2022, providing a guaranteed income assistance payment of $1,000 per month to a select group of young parents using COVID relief money. Federal COVID relief money. A recent report evaluating on the ongoing pilot found that participants had experienced more housing stability and improved mental health during the first year. Wow, amazing. Like probably cloth diapers, I imagine. Yeah, reusable cloth diapers. I'd guess just hands. Is that cheaper? I don't know. Some people still use them today. You can wash them or send them for cleaning. Yeah, that's the issue though. Like, yeah, they they're reusable, but you have to spend the time to make them, wash them, and make sure they're ready to go next time. Yeah. Keep in mind what you're dealing with, right? My mom used cloth diapers for a while when I was a child, but I'm 50. It's disgusting. I'm all for preserving the planet, but I got disposables. We're dealing with poop here. Right. I mean, I'm sure we have like biodegradable disposable diapers. Pretty sure we can make that. They are cheaper, but a lot of nasty work, right? And like, people don't have time for that. Babies and toddlers can go to 3,000 diapers. Jeez. Refined hemp diapers would work. There you go. I'm not sure about training pants, which kids can wear for a few years after diapers, depending on the kiddo. Jeez. 5 to 10 days. Wild. Baby soft, moisture resistant, and biodegradable. I was lucky to have a nanny when I was little because both my parents were working. Don't know how parents can clean poop in this economy. That's right. They need to be extremely absorbent. Topics I thought we'd never discuss here include kittens can learn to use a litter box. Maybe we need to train the babies earlier. No, I don't think that's how that works. I don't think that's how that works. I don't think that's how that works. I'm not a parent, but puts baby in litter box. Here, use this. Okay? Babies are basically little blobs who can't do anything for a bit. We have to give birth to them early so their heads will fit. Yep. And kittens are helpless until like 2 months. I mean, come on. 2 months versus like years? We're talking weeks to years? Also, like, no. The different, completely different ball game. Cats are smarter at first. Define helpless. I'm definitely opting for a cat instead. I have 1 kid, 3 cats. Speaking of, I will, by the way, I have an announcement that I will post at some point. Join the Discord on that. Because I'm running out of time here, and I really got to get through this article. This one's kind of the important article before we go. Scientists call for a moratorium on climate change research until government takes real action. Decades of scientific evidence demonstrate unequivocally that human activities jeopardize life on Earth. Dangerous anthropogenic interference with the climate system compounds many other drivers of global change. Governments concur the science is settled, but governments have failed to act at the scale and pace required. What should climate scientists do? There is an unwritten social contract between science and society. Public investment in science is intended to improve understanding about our world and support beneficial societal outcomes. However, for climate change, the science-society contract is now broken. The failure to act decisively is an indictment on governments and political leaders across the board, but climate change scientists cannot be absolved of responsibility. As we write an article about this conundrum, the tragedy is the compulsion to provide ever more evidence when the phenomena are well understood and the science widely accepted. The tragedy is being gaslit into thinking the impasse is somehow our fault, and we need to do science differently, crafting new scientific institutions, strategies, collaborations, and methodologies. Yet global carbon dioxide emissions are 60% higher today than they were in 1990 when the IPCC published its first assessment. At some point, we need to recognize the problem is political and that further climate change science may even divert attention from where the problem truly lies. Capitalism. Was COP26 a little too late? The outcome of COP26, summarized in the draft Glasgow Climate Pact, includes some progress, including an agreement to begin reducing coal-fired power, removing subsidies on other fossil fuels, and a commitment to double adaptation finance to improve climate resilience for countries with the lowest incomes. But many of the world's leading scientists argue that it is too little too late. They note the failure of COP26 to translate the 2015 Paris Agreement into practical reality to keep the global warming below 1.5 degrees above pre-industrial levels. Even if COP26 commitments are fulfilled, there's a strong likelihood that humanity and life on Earth faces a precarious future. What are climate scientists to do in the face of this evidence? We see three possible options, two that are untenable and one that is unpalatable. The first option is to collect more evidence and hope for action. Continue the IPCC process that stays politically neutral and abstain from policy prescriptions. A recent editorial in Nature calls on scientists to do just that, stay engaged to support future climate COPs. However, this choice not only ignores the complex relationship between science and policy, it runs counter to the logic of our scientific training to reflect and act on the evidence. We know why global warming is happening and what to do. We have known for a very long time. Governments just haven't taken the necessary action. In a recent Nature survey, 6 in 10 of the IPCC scientists who responded expect 3 degrees Celsius warming above pre-industrial levels by 2100. Persisting with this first option is therefore untenable. The second option is more intensive social science research and climate change advocacy. As Harvard historian Naomi Oreskes recently observed, the work of the IPCC's Working Group 1 on the physical science basis of climate change is complete and should be closed down. Attention needs to focus on translating this understanding into action, which is the realm of Working Group 2 on impacts, adaptation, and vulnerability, and Working Group 3 on mitigation of greenhouse gas emissions. In parallel, growing number of scientists are getting involved in diverse forms of advocacy, including nonviolent civil disobedience. However, albeit more promising than option 1, there is little evidence of impact thus far, and it is doubtful this pathway will lead to urgent transformative action required. The option is also not tenable. Halt the IPCC work until the governments do their job. The third option is more radical but unpalatable. We call for a moratorium on climate change research that does little more than document global warming and maladaptation. Attention needs to focus on exposing and renegotiating the broken science society contract. Given the rupture to the contract outlined here, we call for a halt on all further IPCC assessments until governments are willing to fulfill their responsibilities in good faith and mobilize action to secure a safe level of global warming. This option is the only way to overcome the tragedy of the climate change science. Readers might agree with our framing of this tragedy, but disagree with our assessment of options. Some may want greater detail on what moratorium could encompass, or worry it may damage the credibility and objectivity of science, the scientific community. Yeah, but I see their point, right? We are very well aware of the problem. We understand it. We are very, very much aware of what the issue is. At this point, given the timeline of things, it would probably be more beneficial to focus on getting actions done. And that may be, instead of focusing efforts, maybe we, climate scientists could focus more on public outreach and advocacy. I had a dream similar to the Happening movie. Nature was fighting back and won. Don't Look Up, folks. Really, really great movie. If you have Netflix, look up the movie Don't Look Up, and this is exactly what they're talking about. However, we question whether it is our duty to use public funds to continue to refine the state of climate change knowledge, which is unlikely to lead to the actions required, or whether a more radical approach will serve society better. Look up, don't look up. Yes. Make up your mind. It's a worthy watch if you haven't seen it. Jennifer Lawrence is in it. Yeah. We have reached a critical juncture for humanity and the planet. Given the unfolding tragedy, a moratorium on climate change research is the only responsible option for revealing and then restoring the broken science society contract. The other two options are seductive but offer false hope. Don't look up, folks. And I agree. I think direct action gets the good. Cripple all research until they do something. Yep. Or they could try to get scientists from all fields to join them and strike. Yes, particularly all the scientists within this realm. Yeah. The point being is, we understand the problem. We may not know all the details, and we may not know how seriously effed it is. But we know enough, I think, at this point to start working on the action part of it. How about we start sucking the fossil fuel and start using energy sources and storage we know is more economical, safer for the environment, and people implementing commercial scale recycling and eliminate as waste. Right. Particularly reduce reuse part aspect of that. Imagine if pharma research joined them in a strike. Big Pharma would force the government to do something. Yeah. Yeah, but you have to understand, Cognizant, it's very important that we think about the stock portfolio of the capitalists that own these industries. Okay? We're not being considerate of the stock portfolio of these companies. And that's what really matters. Folks, it is 7 o'clock. It's time for me to go get dinner. I've been munching on these blueberries, but I'm getting hungry. I appreciate y'all stopping by. Thank you all for hanging out. Thank you, Heat. Thank you, Michael Hassler, for modding the chat. Thank y'all for stopping by. Consider joining the Discord. After consideration. They didn't consider us. True. No, I was tongue-in-cheek. Thank you for stopping by, Kamikazeon. Folks, consider checking out twitch.tv/carpetpacks. Thank you for stopping by. If you enjoyed the content, don't forget to hit the follow button on your way out. Join the Discord. Keep liking the stream on YouTube. Subscribe. Do the awesome stuff. Consider checking out the merch store. Join the Discord if I haven't said that already. Join the Discord. Join the Discord. Join the Discord. Thank you all. I appreciate it. Thank you, Heat. Thank you, Michael Hassler. We'll be back tomorrow, 5 p.m. Eastern Time. As always, folks, please stay safe. Please take care of each other. Vion, I hope to see you guys in the next one tomorrow. Thank you, A-Bond. I appreciate it. See ya. Should I join the Discord? Yes. The answer to that question is always yes. Hang tight, folks. All right, folks, hang tight. We're heading out in... Oh, hey, wait a minute. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bye-bye.